Lord Oates, in the latest, former Secretary of State and Chairman of the Conservative Party, David Davis, has called for Prime Minister Johnson to go. How damaging is this, as well as the defection of MP Christian Wakeford to the Labour Party?
Well, clearly it's not helpful, although paradoxically, the decision of Christian Wakeford to defect, I think, has brought at least a temporary coming together of the Tory tribe, and making them feel perhaps that Labour is the real threat, reminding them that Labour is the real threat to them in the long term. I think David Davis's intervention clearly had a big impact, and certainly in my household there was a big gasp when he stood up and delivered those words. But he doesn't have a huge following in the Conservative Party, to be honest. He's known as a bit of a narcissist. He's got rather a big ego. And I think there was a bit of a feeling that he was grandstanding. So I think to some extent, yesterday's events helped, at least in the short term, Prime Minister Johnson. I'm not sure whether in the long term that will prove to be true, but certainly in the short term.
And you mentioned the probe, and in Prime Minister's questions on Wednesday, Johnson said that people must wait for the results of Sue Gray's probe. What's the scope of the probe, and what do you think the results will show?
Well, the scope of the probe has grown, it seems, day by day as more evidence emerges of events in number 10 Downing Street, including on the eve of the funeral of the Queen's late husband. So it's expanded. It's really looking into the breach of the COVID rules. Of course, Sue Gray is a civil servant who ultimately reports both to the Cabinet Secretary, the most senior civil servant, and to the Prime Minister. And both the Cabinet Secretary and the Prime Minister are deeply implicated in these alleged parties in breach of the COVID rules. So it's a very difficult job that she has. I've worked with Sue Gray in the past during the coalition government, which I worked for, and she is somebody of integrity. She's a tough person, and I'm sure she will be willing to take tough decisions. But clearly, her report is a moment, and if she finds the facts are that the rules were broken, I think the Prime Minister could be in a lot of trouble. And particularly if she finds evidence that he was told, as his former advisor Dominic Cummings says, that this was a party and it should not go ahead.
Thank you, Lord Oates, for your insights. It remains to be seen if PM Johnson will or will not survive. This is Jodie Cohen for WION World is One.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.